and it messed with me mentally a lot. Like I couldn't trust my body. I felt like every time I was having success in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, things are going too well. Like something is about to happen. Like
What's
something is
coming?
about to pop. Something's about to happen. It was difficult. It was a difficult journey, but believing in myself and just not getting down on myself was probably one of the biggest things too for me. It got me a 9 year career, which is amazing. And now that I look back on it, I'm so blessed for that. But it wasn't all gravy. Like there was a lot of ups and downs with that.
Yo, 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 this is the Streetwise podcast. We're here to help you level up your game, level up your leadership, and level up your life. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds. I'm a multi-brand franchisee, and I'm a franchise consultant where I help people find, launch, and build their ideal business. My main goal is to help you get off of zero and become the person that your dreams need you to be. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready. Let's go.
All right, on today's episode, we're talking to Alex Okafor. Alex played in the NFL for multiple teams for 9 years. Super impressive. He went to the University of Texas in Austin, but more importantly, he graduated from Pflugerville High School. Streetwise Nation, we got Alex Okafor taking the stage. Get your popcorn ready. Buckle up. Grab your notebook. Don't forget your pen. Let's go. I'm figuring this thing out as I go. But again, man, it means a lot for you to hop on. So since we're just hopping in, man, we got Alex Okafor here with us today. Alex, man, what fills up your day right now? Like we'll get into the history, we'll get into some of your successes and failures, but what I really want to know is what fills up your day to day right now. What are you up to?
Yeah, so okay, so just taking it back a little bit, I played professional football in the NFL for 9 seasons, retired back in 2022. So I guess I'm going on 2 years of not playing ball. So as of right now, kind of kind of like we were talking about before we started the podcast episode, but I moved back to my hometown, Pflugerville, Texas, our hometown,
Let's
and
go.
I'm actually doing a lot of stuff within the school right now. So I'm doing like a mentorship program. I actually plan on running for the school board in May, so I'm just getting back to the community and just diving back into the school system.
Dude, I love that. And I knew that you were plugged into the community. That was on my list of things to ask you about. So getting back to Pflugerville, man, what has that been like
Mhm.
for you, growing up in the community? You've gone, I know when you were in the league, you played for multiple teams, but that's an intentional move to go back. In sociology, that's the term like organic intellectual, somebody that leaves, gets a bunch of knowledge and resources and experiences success, but then actually
Mhm.
comes back to the community that they grew up in to give back. You don't
Mhm.
see it very often, bro. Like, what has that
Mhm.
experience been like for you? Um, I mean, fairly new coming back into it. What's it been like?
Yeah, no, it's been really cool if I'm being real with you. Like you said, it doesn't happen that often. Usually people go to the league, make their money, and then, they sail off into the sunset. People probably never ever see them again. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, man. Live your life, do whatever you need to do. But for me, my heart's back in my community. I've always done a lot of work within the community. So I just feel like, growing up in Pflugerville, I feel like our age demographic, we probably had the most impact at the school during our years, whether that was '07, '08, or '09. But we didn't really have too many people to look up to when we was in school. So
Right.
now, kind of while I'm phasing out of the league and out of professional sports, I'm like, why not us? Why not me? So I'm coming back, kind of giving these kids somebody to look up to, somebody that they can see physically, somebody that they can bounce ideas off of and just chop it up with. And I've been having fun doing that.
Dude, I love that. So when I graduated from Wheaton College and my football career ended, at the time, when I was studying, it was criminal justice with the strong emphasis in urban education, getting back into those inner city communities. Not quite, Pflugerville. I was on the west side of Chicago and then moved to
Hmm.
West Dallas, and there was such a need and a gap for people like us. We weren't there was no one like us in those schools. There wasn't the older brother, the mentor, somebody that you can really resonate with. And it's super powerful, man. Have you been able to really connect with anybody on an individual level yet? Or is it more of seeing the long-term impact as you essentially are just stacking bricks?
Right. It's a little bit of both in my case. So I'm doing a little bit of mentorship right now, and I have two specific students that I'm mentoring right now, and I've been able to see a direct impact on those two students, and that has been awesome. Like it's been cool seeing them respond to the stuff that I've been feeding them. It's been cool to see them listening. It's been cool to even see them push back on me a little bit. I got to learn
Yeah.
this stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's been really cool. But kind of like you said, as a whole, I'm seeing an impact too. Just speaking to large groups, whether that's middle schoolers, whether that's high schoolers. But to answer your question, a little bit of both. So,
Oh, it's good, man. And you've got such a presence. You're a big dude and you're on the back end of some very significant success. I remember when I was at the schools, I often got confused for one of the students. A parent would come by at one of the events, and I was
hmm
always I was always jack of all trades, man. I was working as I would substitute teach. My title would be athletic administrator or assistant to the athletic administrator. But man, I'm subbing classes, I'm cooking food in the cafeteria, and I'm coaching. A parent would come up and say, "Where's the person in charge?" I said, "Man, that's me. That's me. I'm here." And so I know what I was doing was good, but you've got an opportunity to do it at such a high level, and I love it, man. And it's biblical. There's principles of having the Timothy, the Paul, the Barnabas. You should always have somebody feeding into you, and then you should always turn back and feed into somebody else. So, dude, all the roses. I appreciate that. What was it that significantly, you kind of already answered it, but was there a thing that told you that this is what you needed to do when you were done
hmm
playing?
Yeah, yeah. So, all of my time throughout the NFL, I was always doing some type of giving back to whether that was our elementary school, whether that was our middle school. So just for example, I went to Spring Hill Elementary. So while I
Me
played,
too.
there
Let's
you
go.
go,
Let's
represent.
go. Yeah.
But yeah, so while I played, I donated multiple book fairs at the school. I hosted a reading program there as well. Just a bunch of just activity for the kids. And that kind of got my heart hooked on the school system. So I knew kind of whenever I retired, I knew I wanted to move back to the Austin area. And if I'm gonna be in the Austin area, I'm like, I can't be this close to home and not have an impact, not have a direct impact. So I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna move back to the crib, then I need to be in the schools. It doesn't have to take up all my time, but I need to give back a little bit. And while I'm figuring out what's next for me, I will be in the schools doing what I can.
Love it. Yeah, you're one of the few guys that I can actually look back to and see like, dang, this dude, like I came up with this dude. Like I was 1 year ahead of you in school, but I'm
hmm
pretty sure your little brother and my little sister played on like the same soccer team at one time and
hmm
he done grown up too. How is the family life right now? Like
hmm
parents, everybody, but then you building the family yourself. How is that going for you?
So it's been up and downs, man. Some highs to highs and some lowest of lows. My mom passed away back in 2020 from blood
Wow.
cancer. So that's when I'm talking
Wow.
about like the lowest of lows. So that was
Yeah.
difficult for me and the family, especially the timing was poor too. I had just came off the Super Bowl win. It was February. I was thinking that I was going to have an amazing off season. And then first of all, COVID hit, so that kind of ruined everything. And right after COVID hit, that's when my mom got diagnosed with cancer and passed away 3 weeks
Wow.
later. So yeah, it was tough for me and the fam, but we've made peace with the situation. We've leaned on the Lord, and He's put strength within us, so we've been able to move on. But other than that, I got married in March of 2022. So that's what I'm talking about, the highest of highs as well. So I've recently started my own family. I got a beautiful wife named Kaylee. If the Lord's willing, hopefully we can have our first child this year. So I'm looking forward to building a family and getting that going.
Man, first of all, my condolences. That's tough, and I know it's been some time, but um, that's heavy, bro. I didn't know that.
Mhm,
Thank you for sharing
mhm,
that. I think somebody in the audience is probably going through something right now, and they're going to hear that and it's going to resonate with them. So thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
Secondly, congratulations on getting married. You know, being married, being a father is one of the hardest things, but also one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done, bar none. And you're doing what the Lord definitely has for you. And so in 2019, my wife and I lost our daughter, Eden. My wife was 38 weeks pregnant, and everything was healthy. And this was our second pregnancy. We already had our oldest, Roman, who's 6, and 38 weeks pregnant. And we had just gone on for an appointment and everything was
Hmm.
fine. And then a couple of days later, no heartbeat, and it was over. And we never had any answers. And I tell you that I share this on the podcast, but just like for you, what I've learned is that our pain leads us to our purpose, but also our pain points, because everybody has the hardest thing that ever happened to them. And it's our pain that helps us to connect with people. And so I think it's really powerful that whatever God has for you as you move through it with your family as a leader and in the community, man, it's powerful stuff, bro. That's really cool to see you like with the mindset that you have. So keep going, man. That's
Yeah,
big.
no, I appreciate that. And just kind of adding to it, I think you hit it right on the head. Just everybody kind of, sharing their testimonies of the hard times. Because, I mean, we always hear that, whether it's social media, whether it's TV, whatever, people only allow us to see the positives in their life. And, that works, but it doesn't help people grow. What helps people grow is learning from people's hard times, learning from people's
Man.
mistakes, learning from deaths in the family and how people move on and continuously travel through life. So you hit it right on the head. I've never ran away from my story. I've never ran away from my testimony, and I hope that, it helps somebody else get stronger.
Man, amen, bro. Amen. And again, thank you for sharing it. Um, I have a habit of going out of order on this thing. I didn't prep
Mhm.
you ahead of time, and it honestly it's starting to become intentional. Like I'll throw something and then see how you respond, and then I'll come back and I'll hit all my points no matter what. So I'm not worried about it. So I apologize for the lack of um, flow, because to me it all flows. I'm a little neurotic that way, but I know that along with what you're doing in the community, you also have your podcast and your show that you're producing right now, Behind the Face Mask. Can you tell us about what that is, what the purpose of it is, and what you're hoping to achieve as you build that out?
Yeah, so kind of like I did with the school stuff, I'm taking it back to right when I finished playing. I made enough money in my career to where I'm fortunate that I don't have to jump into anything right away. So I get to kind of take my time with what I do next. I get to, like you said, be intentional with the way I'm moving, and really just do what
Mm,
makes me happy. So obviously, what makes me happy is being in the schools and giving back to kids. Another thing is I'm trying to find my way through the media space. And this podcast, kind of like what you're doing, is giving me an opportunity for me to get reps as a media personality. So, me being a former UT player, I'm like, I got a pool of players just sitting here in our backyard, Why not pull some of their names and just start interviewing them and see what they have to talk about? And I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's gone well so far. So,
it is a lot of fun. Have you had any um, unexpected interviews, unexpected level ups, things that you didn't really think might happen, but kind of maybe caught you by surprise throughout the process?
yeah, so I guess the unexpected thing that happened was it's not necessarily with my podcast, but there's another podcast that I'm a part of. I know it's getting confusing, but my podcast is called Behind the Face Mask, where it's like a one-on-one format, kind of like
Yep.
this. I'm involved in another podcast called Third and Longhorn, where it's like a group setting. It's like 5 of us, and we get to interview, UT figures, whether that's players, whether that's coaches, whatever that is.
Okay.
And that opportunity came about from my first podcast. So that's something unexpected that happened. Like, one door opens and it leads to something else. So just me kind of experimenting with my podcast gave me an opportunity on another podcast. And I think that one has a chance to be really successful. So it's been fun and it's been really cool.
That's beautiful, bro. And I'm glad you said that because I didn't know which one came first because I knew that you
Hmm.
were on both of the two, just doing my homework beforehand. Is there
Hmm.
one that do you see the trajectory of one going farther than the other, or are you in it for pure reps? Where's your mindset at when it comes to balancing the two different things, trying not to get diluted?
Right, and that's a great question. So the group format one, the second podcast, the third and Longhorn one, I think the trajectory on that one, the ceiling is a lot higher than the one that I
Okay,
have one on one, just because you know how it is. It's like either you're gonna love me or hate me as a personality, and the people that love me are
sure,
gonna follow me. The people that don't like me are not gonna follow me. But
sure.
when you have a podcast with 4 or 5 people on the set, you got multiple personalities, you got a wider reach. So definitely that one has a higher ceiling. But the one, my personal one, that's my baby. That's the one that,
Yeah,
that got me off the ground. So that's
yeah.
more of me getting the reps. That's more of the love of the game in that one. That's more of me, just experimenting in. That one doesn't really have to take off. It's for me personally, and I'm okay with
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Dude, okay. First of all, that good answer, bro. That's solid answer. I I respect and appreciate that so much. Second off, who doesn't like you though? Come on, man. You a likable
I mean,
dude.
okay, okay,
Come
fine.
on now.
Maybe not liking me isn't the word, but listening to me every single day
Okay,
on the
okay,
on the
okay.
weekly, that might rub people the wrong way. So who
I feel
knows?
that.
Yeah.
I'm at the point now. I've got 41 episodes posted, and I've
Hmm.
got probably like if I were to edit everything and put it out now, I'd probably have
Hmm.
close to 50 something like that. And I'll share clips with the people on my team, and hey, this person was really good, but it'll have snippets of me too. And I've actually gotten feedback from my team. They're like, all right, bro, like I see you all day and you talk to me during the day in the meeting. I'm not trying to also listen to you on the way to work. So you're gonna have to lay off sharing with us your podcast. Like it's getting a little ridiculous now. So I feel that. I feel
Yeah,
that.
and I mean that's part of growing, man. It's at
Yeah.
first I used to hate hearing my voice on camera. Now that I've gotten comfortable with it and I've started sharing it, now other people are starting to get annoyed from hearing my voice. So it's finding that middle ground, but it's whatever.
Hey man, there's gonna be enough people out there that fall in love with your message that it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. You're gonna impact lives, and what you're doing is really big. Okay, so you're building out the platform. You're on the school board, or your goal is to be on the school board, but you're giving back to the community. What was it like when you had to? You see, I'm working backwards. When you had to transition away from being an NFL football player to being a
Ooh.
retired NFL football player, what was that like for your mindset, your mental, but also your spiritual identity in having to make that shift?
No, I'm glad you asked this question because this one's good. So it was tough. Like just to answer the question straight up, it was tough. It was difficult, and it was a little bit surprising for me. Somebody that's played 9 years, I've gotten a lot of experience in the league. Obviously, like I said, I've made enough money to be able to do what I want to do once I'm done with football. So there wasn't an immediate pressure to start working again. So as soon as I retired, I thought I'd be in the clear. I thought I'd be one of those guys that, enjoyed retirement, had a smile on my face, was golfing every single day. But but that's not the case. Whenever you sit at home and start twiddling your thumbs, you're in a routine. As an athlete, you're on a structured routine every single day. So I needed to
Yep.
get back into some sort of routine, but I didn't know what that routine was going to be. Whenever you play sports all your life, like I'm an expert on the football field, but as soon as I transition into real life, I'm a rookie all over again. I have zero experience. Like I think I had
Yeah.
one job in high school, and that was at J.C. Penney's. So like unless you need me to fold clothes, I don't have any experience out there.
Man.
So that was a little difficult, and it's difficult trying to find work that feeds your soul, knowing that you don't have experience. Like you can't just jump into anything. You can't jump into what you think you deserve because I haven't proven that I deserve that. So it was a lot of soul searching. It was a lot of being still. First time that I've been in one place for a whole year round.
Wow.
So that was tough. Like I was fighting it for a while. and it took me about a year and a half, but finally I feel like I'm in my groove and got my footing down. So I'm in a good place now, but it wasn't always like that.
Yo, 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 thanks for listening this far. It's at this point in the episode that I want to talk about Streetwise franchising, teaching, training, building. Streetwise franchising. As a franchise consultant, it's my job, it's my absolute pleasure, and it's my mission to help aspiring entrepreneurs find, launch, and build their ideal business. I've been a franchise owner for almost a decade. I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to build a team. If you're ready to get off of zero, if you're ready to build something for yourself, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's get the conversation started. Don't wait until tomorrow to build your future. It starts today. Streetwise franchising. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Let's get back to the episode. Sure. So was it just getting out there, stacking bricks, putting one foot in front of the other, and then eventually you started to recreate an identity for yourself? Did it happen? I mean, I'm sure it didn't happen overnight. That's kind of cliche, but was there anything specific that you did or plugged into that helped?
Yeah, so it's like you said, kind of getting back out there, putting yourself out there,
Okay.
is
Okay.
more of the word. Like, just start showing your face again. So whether it's at the schools, like I had to kind of humble myself in a weird way and just walk back through my old high school doors and be like, "Hey, my name's Alex Okafor," just kind of reintroducing myself. I don't have much going on right now, but if y'all would take me, I'm willing to go mentor some kids and talk to these kids. So that kind of got me started then. Or if it's with the podcast, it's like, okay, create a huge YouTube channel, reach out to one of the players and be like, hey, this is Alex Okafor. I played at UT from so and so. This is the first episode of my podcast. It would mean a lot if you just jump on this first episode. So just
Yeah.
kind of putting yourself out in that forefront. It's kind of how you get to start stacking those bricks. But I mean, it's difficult putting yourself out there, especially when you left everything in the past, like your old identities in the past, all your experiences in the past, like moving forward and everything is brand spanking new. That's difficult, but just taking one step at a time, like you said, has been the key for me.
No, it's beautiful, man. That's the whole point behind this show is progress over perfection and hungrily and eagerly seeking opportunities to fail forward. And I
Hell yeah.
intentionally made my first episode of this show. I didn't have a mic. I didn't know how to use Riverside. I didn't know how to cut it up. I forgot to press the echo cancellation on the little thing right there, the little dashboard. And so every time I talk, there's an annoying echo, and I didn't know how to use the script to go back and add the studio sound in to fix it up. I just didn't know. And the first episode was straight trash. It was great content, but it was terrible.
Mhm,
But it's like I waited 5 years to make that first episode.
mhm.
But now that was in May. So we're less than a year later and I'm almost to 50. And it was just taking that first step. How have you applied progress over perfection and being ready to fail forward? How have you applied that to your journey? Not just pivoting. I mean, we're talking about your pivot from the NFL, but again, because I'm working backwards, how did you do that even while you were playing? Those, I guess,
Yeah.
those could be two different thought processes.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start at while I was playing. And so while I was playing, we're gonna have to take it back all the way to college. So
Come on,
with
yeah.
college, so obviously I came in as a defensive end my freshman year, played defensive end my freshman year. Then my sophomore year, coaches came to me and was like, "Hey, the way the game is moving, it's a pass happy league. Like we think that you might be better suited at defensive tackle." And anybody that knows football, I was maybe 260 at the time, 255 at the time. Like I was undersized for a D tackle. But so selfishly, I wanted to stay at the on the edge. That's what I played my whole life. That's what my body type was for. But in college, you know what? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna believe in the coaches. I'm gonna trust the coaches, and I'm gonna experiment. Like I'm gonna go out there and see what I can do on the inside and see if I can be productive. Now, kind of speeding through the story, they moved me back outside the next year because I wasn't good inside. But but my junior year is when I finally took off in college and had an incredible season. Was my first All American year, and I attribute that to me playing inside because it got me stronger. It allowed me to play with better leverage. So I took what I learned from inside and it helped me excel on the edge. So that's one example. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's one example football wise. So now fast forward into life after ball. And it's kind of like you with the just you saying it took you 5 years to make your first episode. So I always wanted to have a podcast too, and I thought about doing it like around 2019, around that time. But just never put everything I had into it. So for me, it took me like 4 years to get it off the ground. But literally just reaching out to people and being like, "Hey, do you want to sit down with me?" And I got turned down a couple times, and people even flaked on me. But finally, whenever I got the first guy in studio, I recorded the episode, put it out, and I was nervous as hell the first time I put it out. I'm sure you can share those same sentiments. Was nervous as
Yeah.
hell, hated the way it looked, hated the way I sounded, but I got good feedback. Like people really enjoyed what we had to talk about in the message, and just hearing that feedback helped me overcome the nervousness and the anxiety I had putting out that episode, and helped me really grow and really helped me build. So
Oh man. Yeah, no, for sure. I resonate with that too. And it's funny because now that I've got this podcast and I have enough of a library to like support that there's proof of concept in what I'm doing, I have no issue hitting somebody up and saying, "Hey, you want to come on this thing?" And it's one thing too, because a lot of the people I talk to are business owners, executives, or at least the people that I'm trying to reach out to. I've got a good athlete base, and you're helping me with my statistics there, so I appreciate that. But it's like you ask a CEO, "Hey man, can I buy you lunch? I just want to pick your brain. I want to hear about your journey." You're not getting a message back if you're
mhm,
some small random business owner who lives in Murphy, Texas, right?
mhm.
But if you say, "Hey, I'm building out this podcast platform and I've got all these episodes and this is who I'm reaching," dude, the success rate of getting a response is like night and day, bro. And it's just putting it out there and starting that has allowed me to get those reps to use kind of what you said. So no,
Yeah,
that's dope,
you
man.
you hit it right on the head. And I always love to compare things to sports. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
come
as a
on.
pass rusher, it's like, putting a new move on film. Like whether it's the spin move or the
Oh,
chop and rip, like whatever it is, you might not be good at it, but you just got to get it on film that first time so that you can grow from
okay.
there, so that you can critique yourself. But if you're too scared to put it on film, then that's why it takes somebody like me 4 years to start a podcast. That's why, the growth is a lot slower than it should be when if you just put yourself out there, if you just start moving forward, just take a
Man.
step, like you said, then that's how, you get your trajectory to really take off.
Yeah, it's that 1% every day, but you have to be intentional
Hmm.
about getting that 1% to allow it to compound. Dude, I didn't know about the you moving inside, but that's a crazy concept. Like you were probably able
Hmm.
to use that experience for the rest of your career. And dude,
Yeah,
9 years in the NFL is no joke, bro. That's you. I knew you were around for a while, but man, that number is like crazy,
I appreciate that. I
crazy.
wanted I wanted a nice even, round number of 10 years, but it just
Well, get
wasn't
that
in the
10,
cards.
man. It wasn't in the
it,
cards.
it wasn't in the cards.
All right, so tell me about the journey in the NFL. I know you moved around a few teams. You got some success, but I know you probably experienced some low points as well. As you moved around from team to team, kind of walk me through some of the highs and some of the lows of being an NFL player and the reality of the business behind the game, because somebody like me, I've got some decent insight. I've got family and friends that have been in the league, but to somebody that's completely outside, it's probably night and day difference from what people think and from what the
Hmm.
reality is.
Yeah. So I guess so. Just a little background on my career. I played for three teams. I was
Okay.
drafted in 2013. I went fourth round to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
So played for the Cardinals for 4 seasons. Then in 2017, signed with the New Orleans Saints and played with the Saints for 2 seasons. And then in 2019, signed with the Kansas City Chiefs and played there for 3 seasons and won a Super Bowl in 2020. So that's kind of like my journey throughout the league. Um, but for me, I guess not really my story, but something that I really struggled with in the league was injuries. I always had I had an injury bug, like believe it or not. I've had 3 season-ending injuries. I've torn my bicep, I've torn my pec, and I've torn my Achilles. And it's felt like those injuries have came at a time where, I was expected to kind of like take off
Mm.
throughout my career. So I remember my second year in Arizona, I got 8 sacks. So the following year, I was expected to be that dude. I was expected to, you know, be the main edge rusher on that team. And the following season, I ended up tearing my bicep. So that set me back. And then, so I get another chance in New Orleans in 2017, having one of the best seasons that I've ever I forgot what the numbers were, but I was having an incredible year. Week 10 of the season, popped my Achilles. So that set me
Mm.
back. Then 2019, signed with the Chiefs, having another incredible year. I think I had 5 sacks in 10 games. So if we accelerate those numbers, it would have put me at 8 or 9 for 16, 17 games. But ended up tearing my pec like week 15, something like that. So every time I was like on the verge of breaking through, there was always an injury that set me back. And it messed with me mentally a lot. Like I couldn't trust my body. I felt like, every time I was having success in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, things are going too well. Like something is about to happen. Like
What's
something is
coming?
about to pop. Something's about to happen. And it was difficult. It was a difficult journey, but just putting my faith in the Lord, knowing that He's going to take me where He needs to take me, helped a lot. And also too, just believing in myself and just not getting down on myself was probably one of the biggest things too for me. And it got me a 9 year career, which is amazing. And now that I look back on it, I'm so blessed for that. But it wasn't all gravy. Like there was a lot of ups and downs with that. So.
Yeah. Was there anything that you learned through those hard times and those, I mean, it's hard to call them failures. I mean, they probably feel like
Mhm,
failures to you,
mhm.
but was there anything that you were able to take back that, moving forward, you can hold on to that you feel like on the back end, hindsight being 2020 has helped you level up as a person?
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that. Like, so, and the interesting thing you said was it wasn't a failure, but it might have felt like a failure to you. And that's really what I was
Sure.
struggling with because I always felt like I had the talent to be like a Pro Bowl type player, but
Yeah.
physically my body just couldn't hold up for a full 16 game season. And I really struggled with that. I felt like, I underachieved. I felt like I didn't live up to my potential. But now looking back on it, it just wasn't in the cards. It just wasn't my journey. And now that I'm looking back on the other side, it's like going through those hard times got me mentally sharper. Like being able, like whenever I was out for the season, like I said, I had 3 season-ending injuries. So while I was at home, while the team was continuing to play, I was able to pick up books and really sharpen my mind. I was able to
Let's
create
go.
good habits while I was at home and good habits that just carried with me throughout life. And now looking back on it, I'm not the athlete that had all the success and didn't do nothing else in life. I'm the athlete that had quite a bit success, but I was able to sharpen up other facets of my life, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Oh man, you're killing the game right now, bro. You got your own podcast, don't you? You're good at
Some,
answering these questions, my guy.
something like that.
Man, no, it's cool, man. And I said it before, we talked on it already, but it's true. Our pain leads us to our purpose. And I'm trying to get better at articulating this, but I'm a firm believer that our passion and our purpose are two different things. Our passion comes from within us. Our purpose is what we're placed here for and what can come out of us.
Man, that's
And
hard right there.
the
I
pain
like that. Yeah.
gets us to our purpose. It's the stuff that we have to live through and grow, not just go through, but grow through, that gets us to be able to become the person that whoever God needs us to be can actually fulfill that role. And man, I see you, bro, and I see you sitting in the seat that you need to be in. And even if you don't fully like feel it yet, like from the outside, like I see the steps, and it's powerful, and I just see so many great things come in. And I talk to my wife about this all the time, man, that the tricky game of comparison. And it's like, you compare yourself to, and there's a book I'll throw at you, The Gap in the Game, written by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy.
Okay.
And he talks about living in the gap is looking at where I expect to be at, where I want to be at, versus where I currently am or what I've achieved. That's living in the gap.
Hmm.
On the contrary, living in the gain is looking at where I came from and what I'm able to achieve based on how far I've come now. And so the entire book is about becoming the type of person that can live in the gain just from a mental, spiritual, outpouring perspective. You're able to fully understand where it's more about where you've come from and what you're doing versus, oh man, I just can't. Because somebody like me, if I'm living in the gap, I'm looking at you and you done did it, right? Like, and
Hmm.
I'll never have 9 years of NFL experience, so why even bother? But
Hmm.
I already know, man, I got such an amazing platform. And if I can link up with guys like you and speak into you and add value to whoever through this conversation, like I'm doing exactly what I'm here for. And it just for you, bro, like I see you doing it too, man. It's really special. Like it's really
No,
cool.
I appreciate that, man. And you dropping nuggets right now. You hitting it on the head. And that's what it is. Comparison. I forgot what the quote, like comparison is the thief of joy. And I try to live
Mm,
through that because when you're in a team environment, whether that's sports, whether that's, a technology startup, whether it's just a faculty team, whatever it is, you're going to be looking at your teammates. You're going to just naturally be comparing yourself to them and how they're doing. So me, I'm looking at guys like Cam Jordan, Chris Jones, and I'm like, you know what? I got that type of talent, but I'm
yeah.
struggling with injuries and they're not. Like, this is unfair for me. I'm not as good as they are. Like, I could look at it like that. And I have looked at it like that in the past, but that's the wrong train of thought. That's the wrong mindset. Like, the right mindset is look, I'm blessed to still be playing this game. I've gotten 9 years. I may not, be a future Hall of Famer like some of the guys that I played with, but you know what? I could come back to my hood of Pflugerville and be just as
Mm,
impactful doing it my way.
wow.
And that's what I try to focus on, and that's where I try to keep my train of thought on. And I'm just glad you
Yeah.
kind of shed light to that a little bit.
No, man, that's good stuff, bro. Like, we always try to add value to one another. And if you see that opportunity, I feel like we get blessed when we bless other people. And if there's an opportunity to share that blessing, do it, bro.
Hmm.
And I see you doing it every day with what you're building. And that's why I really wanted to have you on. Let me finish with this, because we talked about like you as a mentor. We kind of talked about resources. But so for me, in my new role now, as I've been on this journey as an entrepreneur within the franchising space for dang almost 10 for 9 years. I'm going on year 9 right now. And my thing is trying to connect with people who want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really know where to start. Franchising is a great opportunity for these people. And I
Hmm.
started the podcast to speak into the person that wants to get off of zero, but they don't quite know how or know which direction to go. So for me, I want to give those nuggets to let somebody know that it doesn't matter what your resources are around you, where you're at, you have currently what you need to at least take that first step. So as
Hmm.
I'm curious from an NFL player, like what resources are given to you guys, if any, to
Hmm.
move into that next phase of life? Or is that something that you kind of had to curate and figure out on your own?
Well, I think there's two things. So one thing, we have the NFLPA, which is just our union. And as soon as you retire, there's, a ton of benefits out there for you. There's a ton of resources such as symposiums, career fairs, stuff like that that you can hop on and, just soak up some knowledge and figure out what your next journey is. Um, but to me, the most important resource is looking at like your career and, whether your career was 2 seasons, whether your career was 9 seasons like me, but looking at your career, looking at looking at who you played for and taking that experience and kind of spinning it into the opportunity that you want. So if you're trying to, if you're trying to, I don't know, jump on, if you're applying for a job, right? And I don't know the specific position, but within you, it's your job to take your resume and use your experiences from the league and spin it in the way that you want on your resume. So somebody like me, I'd be like, played 9 seasons in the NFL, was a leader amongst my position group, faces adversity well, um, performs well under pressure, rises to the occasion when the lights are the brightest. So you just take stuff like that and you just spin it to the job profile that you want, and seeing how an NFL player is, a one percenter. Like there's not that many of us in the league. Not many people are going to have that on their resume. So
Sure.
for retired
Yeah.
players, you got to take what separates you and you got to spin it in your favor.
Nice. Do you feel like a lot of players, I mean, did they get that education? Like, was that something that you just had because your mental was on that game already? Or is there like, is that a part of the PA? Is guys
Mhm.
getting coached up in order to be able to pivot and do that sort of a thing?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I have strong
Okay.
mentors. I have really strong
Yeah.
mentors that have poured into me. So I'll give it to those guys. But also too, it's taking your resources and really like using your resources. Like there's so many guys that retire and don't ever look into what the PA is offering, and they're missing out on not only money but opportunities to sharpen their skill set. So
Mm,
you have to invest in yourself. You have to pour into yourself, and having mentors and listening to what your mentors are telling you while also taking the resources that are there for you and using all those up at the same time, that's investing in yourself. And that's what I took pride in doing.
nice. Okay. Now that's what's up. How would you coach up somebody who is maybe they're a dreamer, maybe they got big goals, big ambitions, but
Mhm.
they're afraid or they're unsure about putting themselves out there? What's
Mhm.
one final thing that you could lay down for somebody like that?
I was just saying, closed mouth don't get fed, and that's
Oh,
what it
let's
comes
go.
down to. Like you can't be timid. Like if there's something that you want, you can't be timid about it. You have to put yourself out there, and it's hard to do. Like I've played in front of 100,000 people, but shooting my first episode of a podcast was frightening for me. So,
Yeah.
but it was something I had to do. It was something, and you have to be uncomfortable. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable and stepping outside of what you're used to. If you don't do that, then you can't see, you don't know what your boundaries are. You don't know how far you can reach unless you're really pushing yourself. So to answer your question, like if somebody's scared to jump into what they want to do, then you're not really dreaming hard enough then. Like you don't want it bad enough. You have to
Yeah.
put yourself out there. A closed mouth does not get fed.
Man, amen. That's a soundbite right there. When I clip this up, that's going on the front, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that's what's up, bro. Well, let's close this thing out, man. I could talk to you for at least another 2 hours, but I got a kindergartner to pick up,
I
man.
get it. Hmm.
But I appreciate you for hopping on. I'm gonna have your link to the show, to the YouTube channel, behind the face mask. Make sure you guys listen to my man Alex on his show. Follow this guy. There's so many beautiful things that are coming out of what he's doing. Shout out Pflugerville. As always, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Hey, if this episode added any value to your life at all, please like it, share it, give me a 5-star review. It's the only way that this show is going to gain traction and help more people achieve their dreams. If you're ready to start your franchise journey, visit streetwisefranchising.com. Let's set up a time to talk. Hit me up on LinkedIn Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.